Good evening, all. On behalf of NISM and Crisil One Academy, I would like to take this opportunity to welcome you all for the today's webinar on career prospects in credit underwriting agency. Myself, Amir Syed, working with NISM. Along with me today, we have Mr. Joe Kashish Chaudhary from Crisil, who will be addressing the topic of the webinar today. Before we begin, let me give a brief introduction about our speaker. Mr. Joe Kashish brings in extensive experience in corporate banking and risk management, currently serving as an associate director at Crisil. He is seasoned banking professional. He has significantly contributed to the field of risk management by ideating and developing risk solutions. He works on the challenging issues as intersection of credit, enterprise, and liquidity risk encountered by the financial institutions. Before we start, let me convey the major areas which this webinar will be touched upon. Credit underwriters analyzes applications and made recommendations. They suggest pricing, charges, fees, and interest rates. Credit underwriters may have many career opportunities and varieties of BFSI industries, including banks, insurance companies, and a rating agency. Before we begin, let me instruct all the participants that we'll be having a Q&A board, and all the questions will be taken at the end of the webinar. Our speaker will be happy to answer all your queries and concerns. So without taking into further time, I would like to hand over the webinar to our speaker. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, Amir. Thank you for that introduction and a very warm welcome to all the participants. So I appreciate you all for taking the time out to join us in this webinar on career prospects in credit underwriting. And now, perhaps you already have an understanding or are already introduced to these technical jargons like credit, underwriting. But let me tell you, as a student, I didn't know a thing. What financial institutions do, what is credit or debit, I didn't know. The only thing I knew was like financial institutions and specifically banks were meant to keep your money safe. And maybe if you need, they may extend some kind of loans. And that's everything I knew and I cared to. I believe most of our listeners must be on a similar level of understanding. So while it ain't wrong, but it's very cursory. So I suggest that we run a quick glimpse of the first principles of credit and underwriting. I'm sure this will enable us to comprehend the landscape in a much better manner. And of course, this landscape happens to be extremely challenging and truly exhilarating. That's what the promise of this webinar holds. So what is credit in the most bare sense? Our economy comprises of individuals who work, who earn, spend, and if they possibly have a surplus, they also save. They are the savers, they are the investors of an economy. On the contrary, we have spenders, or specifically the individuals who face a deficit. They might be spending on either their new gadgets, education, some family emergency, necessities, house purchase, or maybe running their own business enterprise. Financial institutions like banks, non-banks, funds, they play the role of an intermediary which collects the surplus of the savers and it mobilizes to the spenders. And as you would probably know, that debt or loan happens to be the most commonplace vehicle to accomplish this specific economic transaction. Credit in the banking sense, not the accounting sense or in a technical jargon, credit in the banking sense is essentially the methodology of extending these loans. It is the science, it is the art in which loans can be extended in an economically acceptable format. And when I say economically acceptable, I mean the entire spectrum of financial, legal, risk, regulatory aspects which underlie every loan contract. So credit, as you can fathom, turns to be an extremely critical function for the economy. Personally, I see credit as the very heart of the economy. Just like our heart pumps blood to our bodies to keep us alive, to keep us working, credit pumps money to the economy to keep it thriving. And that's why I can assure you that the field of credit underwriting turns out to be one of the most challenging, thrilling, enviable, and should I say, exhilarating work experience for any individual who's associated with the BFSI industry. So why is it? Let us explore. What does the daily life of an underwriter look like? I mean, what do they do? What exactly, are the job responsibilities? Now, the journey of a credit proposal is pretty fascinating. In case you have ever applied for a loan, you probably might have experienced two journeys. One is the completely digital journey, which is started to happen in the past 5 or 6 years, wherein you log into the app and you punch in some data, the algorithm picks up and approves the loan for you. Maybe it happens in a couple of minutes for the best practices. And voila, you have the loan in your account. But this happens for smaller tranches. What I want to focus on are the bigger amounts. Say the smaller tranches are like 50,000 to 2 lakh or at max 5 lakhs. But say if you need it for your education, a couple of millions, or for your home, maybe a couple of 50 or say 100 odd lakhs, or to fund your business enterprise. This would probably run into crores. For these bigger amounts, you have to deposit a huge pile of documents with the loan representative, and which of course definitely seems very irritating and exhausting to all of us. But what happens next once these documents reach the underwriter? Guess what? That same pile of documents that took so much effort for you to put up, each and every document, each and every data point, the informations that are collected within them has to be individually scrutinized and almost chewed, digested by the credit underwriters. She analyzes the nitty-gritty details of each and every data point, decides whether to accept or reject the proposal. And accordingly, she prepares a document summarizing her observations. Now, this document is called the credit note. And now, when the credit note is prepared, the entire story is scripted. The signature of the credit analyst is affixed underneath this document. And this brings us to the term underwriter. So now you know why it's called credit underwriter. Of course, the connotation of the underwriting as a term has other meanings as well. But roughly the genesis of this term is this. Let me show you JD, the job description of an underwriter. Now, this is the job description, which has been published on the website of a leading private sector bank. You see the job roles, the deliverables to underwrite SME proposals. Based on this, monitor the portfolio, personally visiting customers, and manage customer credit files. Not much of it would make sense to you as of now, so I'll try to put it a little differently. Let us move to the next slide. What makes underwriters indispensable? I'll try to explain the indispensability, the importance of underwriters here. Roughly, the industry numbers are 20 to 25% of the bankers undertake some role related to credit and risk underwriting. So specifically for bank enthusiasts amongst you, which would probably be the major fraction, you have a total of around 15 lakh bankers in India right now, 7 lakh in the public sector banking industry, 8 lakh in private sector banking institutions. At around 20%, you have around 15 to 20,000 jobs created every year for individuals related to credit. They may not be completely credit underwriters on day one, but sooner or later they will transition to that role or some related role. But please bear in mind that this number of 20,000 is just a tip of the iceberg. These are just the numbers for those high street banks. We have not considered the small finance banks, NBFCs, the non-banking financial institutions, alternative funds, consultancies, ratings, research institutions, credit bureaus, scoring companies, and the list keeps going on. Credit is the anchor of all financial decision-making, and the possibilities are truly limitless. Knowledge of financial analysis is indispensable to be employed across any critical role. And I reiterate, any critical role within the BFSI contour. No matter what career path you may choose within the BFSI space, in full possibility at some juncture, you will interact with the need to understand, to comprehend credit. And the key is constant learning through all sources. Now, say for instance, the credit underwriter has to prepare a credit note. So she needs to understand a few things. She needs to understand financial analysis and non-financial aspects of the business model. She has to be conversant with the macroeconomic headwinds of the industry's trends, estimate the management's competence. She has to undertake probably site visits of factories, interact with the management, ask them, pose them the difficult questions. Why have you employed this specific manufacturing process? Why this? Why not that? Are you not wasting electricity in this fragment of your production process? What are the logistics associated? What is the process setup? Energy efficiency? How does the bottom line get impacted? Maybe with these are the numerous questions. With a single glance at the inventory levels, when maybe they are at the warehouse, they check out the inventory. At a single glance, she has to detect issues. Why does the inventory not match with the records? Why are the chimney fumes like this? With the chimney fumes, you probably have to ascertain the production levels of a unit. Dear participants, the point I wish to highlight is, as a credit underwriter, you need to know much more about a business than the business owner individually, their own selves. Because the business owner invests 30 to 40% of the capital for the business. Say there is a business which requires $100. Business owner would probably bring 30 to 40%. But the remaining 60 to 70% is the money the business owner has borrowed from you. The money, the financial institution you represent, the financial institution which depends on you as a credit underwriter. It is driven by your decision, the credit underwriter's decision. And this is a phenomenal challenge. Since you don't run the business, but you are expected to know it better than the person running the show. Is it at all possible? My answer is absolutely. And it ain't a choice. It's your job role. Maybe the perspectives would differ from the owner and the banker, but your expertise as a credit underwriter, your ability to envisage the future of the enterprise has to cut across, has to shine through. That is an absolute mandatory demand. So you can well understand how critical and responsible this role is. Now, does this sound daunting, very difficult, or does this sound exciting? I'm sure, just like me, most of you will find it extremely enthralling, adventurous, exciting, and you'll be very positive to take it up as a career. It's truly a process of constant learning from 360-degree sources all the time, and with the sole motivation to be better at your trade, to be a specialist, to be a champion underwriter. How do you pick that up? How do you learn of all of it? How to be a true champ in the world of investing? So success as an underwriter is going to be a challenge. In order to underwrite a great proposal, the underwriter must be competent with analyzing the financial statements, model business projections, the cash flow, the balance sheet, the borrower's strategic positioning within the industry, the business model, and a host of many other factors. Of course, the list keeps going on and on. But this entire study, this entire preparation requires a focused and specialized educational training. And this is exactly where we believe that NISM and CRISIL Certified Credit Underwriters Program can complement. This program aims to equip credit officers with strong conceptual understanding as well as ability to apply your judgments. You have those real-life case studies. You have market data backed by CRISIL. You have the insights, you have the analytics. And let me run you through some interesting bits about this program. The certification program is an online self-paced program. Its total duration is around 50 hours. The course is spread across 7 topics, 23 subtopics that cover almost the entire credit landscape and cycle. The content is exhaustive and it has a nice build-up and completely conceptual flow to it. So it starts with macro environment, it moves to credit risk, financial analysis, and small business loans, credit operations, documentations. It touches on every fundamental aspect that you need to be conversant with in order to deliver your everyday job responsibilities on the desk. On clearing the certification exam, you're awarded with a joint certificate from NISM and CRISIL. The certificate exam has a duration of 3 hours and it has 150 MCQ questions. The minimum criteria is 60%. A digital badge is what is awarded to you on going through with the certification exam. And let me explain to you the digital badge concept. The digital badge helps you showcase your credentials with your colleagues, clients, your employers. It works on the principles of blockchain and it is digitally verifiable version of your certificate. This adds a lot of credibility to your earned credentials. So that's about the introduction of this entire course, of the importance of credit, the credit landscape, the role of underwriters. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Of course, at the end, I'd like to answer all your questions regarding this entire landscape. But as of now, I'll hand over the presentation to my colleague Himanshi.
Thank you, Jagadish. Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to take you all through the content for NISM and CRISIL Certified Credit Underwriter Program. I will be taking you through this course on NISM and CRISIL Certified Credit Underwriter, which basically is a demonstration on how you will be able to take up this course and what is the learning that you'll get out of it. So the screen that you're looking at right now is for the modules that we just discussed on the Credit Underwriter Program. On your screen right now, on the right-hand side is a list of 7 modules that Jogashi just ran through. And we discussed is the coverage of this particular course. Let me take you through a few modules for your reference. So to start with, there's a basic conceptual module that we have that is on credit risk evaluation framework. As already mentioned by Jogashish, the modules that we've been providing by NISM and CRISIL, they are highly interactive in nature. They also have animations. They have a lot of knowledge checks. They have real life case studies and certain examples to take you through it. Okay, I will be playing this module for all of your reference to start with the introduction and then followed by how the module will go ahead.
You are probably familiar with credit ratings such as AA, BBB, and so on. Credit rating agencies assign these ratings to corporates, finance instruments, and fixed deposits. The ratings indicate an opinion on the probability of these corporates or instruments defaulting. But how do rating agencies come up with these ratings? Rating agencies use an elaborate and thorough credit rating framework to assess risk. They assess various aspects of the risk, like business risk, management risk, financial risk, and so on.
So on your screen right now, you're able to see a module map through which all of you learners will be able to navigate to the entire modules. This on the center is the module map, which has the major topics. And on the right-hand side, if you click on any of the topics, the subtopics will appear. We also have a lot of resource articles, case studies, data points, which are downloadable in format and also can be used for future references. Talking about this particular module, one of the most interesting features that it module has is the credit rating framework. So since the entire framework itself can be quite daunting and complex at first go, we build it up piece by piece through an example. I'll show you one of the examples on screen right now. And through this example, we'll just try to understand the concept and how to do the first level of credit risk evaluation. This will be an example of a person called Tony, who is trying to set up his ice cream business as an example. And I just played for your reference.
Quality of a company and determine its rating. So what exactly would CRISIL need to assess as part of this framework? What would you consider if you had to give someone a loan? Let's look at an example. This is Tony. Tony is an old college acquaintance. His love for experimenting with flavors combined with his extreme sweet tooth made him quit his corporate job and set up an ice cream shop. Just this month, Tony devised a new do-it-yourself project using an ice cream mixer arrangement he devised. Once this is rolled out, buyers will be able to customize their ice cream using various mechanisms to get exactly the kind of cream, flavor, fruit and toppings they want. Tony seems to have had decent success during the past year and wants to set up a few more branches. But he needs some capital to begin. Would you lend to Tony's?
So now I believe all of you are aware of the situation that this example of Tony is heading towards. The question is as simple as that. Would you lend to Tony's? Now, if you would do, what are the things that you would consider before lending it to him? Is it the one that says that what is his business model that you need to consider? Is his idea honest and reliable? Is this person is reliable? So on the screen that you see is an interactive screen wherein I can select and choose which all are the options that I think are valid. I click on submit and we get an answer to whatever question we have. Similarly, as we move ahead in this course, we get into more advanced topics like financial analysis, working capital products, and so on. Also, the example that we just saw, this also speaks about Tony's credit risk evaluation. Now, we read the case study, we went through it, and I'll just play this evaluation part for you all.
Tony's character, his business operations, financial obligations, and so on. You found out some rather disturbing information. Tony runs his business operations very well and seems to have the knack of knowing what will do well in the market. Records and research shows that Tony and his second-in-command are honest and capable managers. But when you looked at Tony's financial situation, you found that Tony has a mountain of debt he is trying to pay off and he's just about managing to make his payments. It is very unlikely that Tony will be able to successfully fulfill any additional financial obligations, and you decide that he poses a substantial credit risk. The forecast related to Tony's new do-it-yourself project seems great. But you also learn that Tony's parents have significant financial obligations, and they are not likely to bail him out if he defaults. You decide that Tony's overall credit risk is too high, and you bid him goodbye, expressing your inability to support his new venture. The process we have used to evaluate Tony's credit risk is the process that CRISIL uses to evaluate the credit risk of the entities it rates.
So that's about Tony. And as we speak, we've understood a glimpse of how CRISIL does its credit rating frameworks, credit rating evaluation. Moving forward as we speak, there's the module that we would like to play. That's a part of working capital financing. I would like to take you through a module on non-fund-based financing. So this module ideally talks majorly about letter of credit and bank guarantees, which ideally are also very complex topics to study and read upon. If you see on the module map that is there on the screen, it gives you quite an understanding of the coverage of this module. There's one of the topics that we speak of, which is letter of credits and its process flow, which ideally is also again a very complex topic. And right from issuing to closure, the workflow that is explained through this module is in a click to reveal format.
Sending the buyer a proof.
The
LC operation process begins with a seller sending the buyer a pro forma invoice and the issuing of LC. Let's find out how HomeStore and Nobel Furnishings set up their letter of credit.
This particular screen has this interactivity wherein from step 1 to step 2, 3, 4 and all the subsequent 13 to 14 steps are explained to you in this manner. On clicking each and every step on the right hand side of the screen, you're able to see the explanation to the entire process that is happening subsequently. Once the content is covered here, By the end of each of the modules, we will have summary and knowledge checks, which also will help you in revising the entire
Review the key
content
learning points covered
that you will study within the module. As a part of this course on NISM and CRISIL Certified Credit Underwriter, we also have covered case studies as a part of it. To give you an insight, I would also like you to go through this case study, which is a part of Astral Limited. I'll just play this case study for your reference. So the way this case study is presented is, on the right-hand side, you'll see the company details, followed by the description on the left-hand side. So as I click on the begin button, you have the details around about the company. Followed by that, there'll also be details around the products of the company, the production capacity, its marketing, distribution, and so on. So in this particular module, you will have assessments in both MCQ and subjective type questions. By that, if you look at section B on the left-hand side of the screen, part 1 will cover the MCQ type question. So simple question stating that what was ALP's cost of goods sold for the year FY21? I click on the option that is suitable, clicking on submit, and I get the answer. If it is incorrect, then what is the correct answer is also mentioned to me for our reference. Followed by this is the descriptive type question, wherein on screen, the first type that you're looking at is the list of or the breakup of company's other expenses, which is shown. Now, what I need to do is select the expenses which should be included for the calculation of cost of production. So just as a reference, I'm selecting a couple of these fields. Once I click on the submit button, this definitely shows me what I selected was correct, what I selected was wrong. And if the things were wrong, what is the correct solution to it, right? The second question that you're looking on screen right now is also the company's working capital consumption, but the text is missing. Now, basis the study or the table that we've done in the previous question, I need to put in some fields. Let's say I'm putting a number 1,000, receivables to be 2,000, bank borrowings to be maybe 5,000. This number could obviously be basis the question we read earlier, and the number of days being 4, receivables being 2. And I have a description to write here. If I click on submit, I see the options, what I did. I also see what are the correct options that could have been entered to make this question correctly answered, followed by a detailed description on the working capital consumption of APL's Limited. Right? So this was basically a glimpse that I tried to show you, or rather a sneak peek into the program, wherein we're talking about the animations, the case studies, the real life examples, knowledge checks, and many more coverages across the program. If there are any questions or queries, you can definitely reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to answer. I think it's time that we connect back to Mr. Jogashish on his expert advice with all the questions that you all have, and we'll be happy to take those up. Thank you.
Yeah, do we have questions?
Requesting all the participants to share their questions or any concerns in the Q&A chat board. Our speaker will be happy to answer all your concerns. So just now we have heard the process and the background regarding the credit underwriting agency along with the application process. So we'll be happy to share more insights about this. Shreya has asked, is the course is free? No, Shreya, it is chargeable. You can visit our NISM's website. I'll just share the link with you for that.
Yeah, we have another question. What is the charge of this course? Yeah, it's 16,000, Shreya, and the details are completely available on our website, on NISM's website. So these courses are valid, and thereafter you have a renewal attached to this as well. So in order to take the examination, you probably have to pay 2,000 more. So it's 16 plus 2, 18,000. And of course, for a renewal, which happens once in 3 years, it's like 4,000 more than that. Can the course be taken by a person from NBFC with no background on credit work? Absolutely. You are the apt audience for whom this course has been specifically built up. Am I audible? Is there, Amir, could you just confirm if I'm
Yeah,
audible?
yes, sir, you're perfectly audible.
Yeah, okay, then that's good enough. So yeah, the course can be taken from individuals from NBFC. As I try to summarize in the initial portion, that NBFCs, banks, all of them have like credit officials or people with the responsibility of credit related roles to the tune of like 20 to 25%. But the main engine of business for an NBFC or a bank for any financial institutions is invariably debt. It is some or the other form of debt which is packaged up, sent across, and then with the assurance of getting it back with some interest is the basic business structure. So everyone has to be conversant with that nuance. 1, 2, sooner or later, you will get the opportunity to click up for a credit related role. Would you like yourself to be trained after having assumed that role? Probably not, because that role will come to you only when you are properly trained. And you'll be able to deliver it from day one onwards, if and only if you are already conversant with the nuances. If not, it would be a challenge for you. And trust me, there are so many individuals who face that challenge and who buckle up under the pressure. So it's always much more prudent for you to enroll for this course, go through the entire nuances, be very much conversant with it. So when the opportunity comes to you, you are the one who shines apart and you are the one who's given the responsibility at the first go. I mean, it invariably happens with everyone like that. So I just welcome you to this course. So it's very important for anyone and not just NBFC. When like the very purpose of this entire webinar has been to educate our entire audience with the prospects of credit underwriting specifically. So it's not just NBFC. NBFC happens to be the core focus, obviously, but it's about the BFSI sector completely. So anyone who is oriented towards BFSI sector would benefit out of it, would have a certain intersection in their careers, a point, a junction in their careers wherein they will find that since they know credit, they are light years ahead than the rest. It is invariably the most indispensable knowledge. I mean, there's no two doubts about it. Okay, so I come to the next question. As a student, can we be the underwriters? Yeah, I mean, you have to prepare yourself as an underwriter. As a student, you cannot be the engineer, but you prepare yourself to be the engineer. You don't be the doctor or the lawyer, but you prepare yourself well so that once when the opportunity comes, you are out there. So yes, as students of probably you are pursuing your graduation or maybe post-graduation, whichever standard you are in, it's always apt for you to enroll, to learn the nuances of the subject and be prepared so that during your interview sessions, when you would be interacting with the industry experienced fellows, you would be able to chip in. This is my course. This is my understanding of this subject. They will be able to pinpoint and ask you focused questions on these subjects. And once you will, even if you can click out with maybe 5 or 6 answers, 2 or 3 relevant answers, they would know, yeah, this person knows. We can train them and hone them to be better. So that is invariably the way it happens out there in the industry, and it's so indispensable. That's why. So yes, as a student, you can be the underwriter and you must aspire to be one. Even if you do not want to pursue a field in underwriting, you have certain other things out there in the horizon. Probably there are so many other fascinating aspects which are attached to the career, or maybe you have that thing. But still, if you are envisaging yourself in the BFSI sector in the coming years, or maybe in the very recent future, please prepare yourself with underwriting skills. It's absolutely important. Okay, difference between assets and liquidity, I think is the question. Assets and liquidity. Okay, I'm not exactly sure if it pertains to this certain topic, but then I think Amit wants some idea regarding assets and liquidity. So assets and liquidity, there are assets which are created out of your liquid cash, liquid wealth in the form of money. And if they can be easily liquidated, that's when you call them to be liquid assets. In case you cannot, it is a challenge for you to liquidate that asset. It remains an asset in that form till the point of time it's liquidated. And I'll explain to you via some examples maybe. So you have some cash, you buy a piece of land. That cash was liquid. You could have deployed it anywhere. But once you have put it into land, once maybe you have put up some kind of a structure, it has become illiquid till the point of time you're able to sell it off easily. So that's the basic difference between it. It does not really pertains to this, but thanks for asking. Helps for a conversation. Yeah. So next question after Amaze is, kindly elaborate more on One Academy and other e-learning courses offered. Yeah, Makaran, thank you so much for that question. But like as I told you that this specific webinar is more about credit underwriting courses. But yeah, I'd be more than happy to introduce with other One Academy offerings as well. You have a plethora of not only credit, but you have risk management courses, you have treasury courses, you have ESG courses, and we will be probably rolling out individual programs for them as well. And we also have wealth management courses along with NISM, and that happens to be one of the most important courses that we offer. So along with the credit, so it's like wealth, risk management, treasury, and all the important aspects of banking. But let me tell you, Makaran, those are domains which probably may not be very much pertinent for the newbie out there in the market. Like, so someone who's a graduate or maybe in the initial days of his post-graduation, or someone who's appearing for his or her chartered accountancy examination or pursuing CFA, FRM. These courses, these flagship courses have a huge horizon. They offer you too many things and too many subjects. While it's always important to learn all those subjects and have a basic understanding across all the domains of finance and banking and accounting, it's important, it's good enough. But it does not really offers you that edge which a focused course would give. And that is where Bristol One Academy's course pitches in, because it addresses a very focused need. It's the need of underwriting, credit underwriting. Within credit underwriting, it's a huge sphere. And it's not something that someone with maybe a bigger degree would be able to deliver on day one of the job. It won't happen. It requires an orientation. It requires proper training. So that is the industry need that we have recognized, and we're trying to fulfill that need, because we do see those challenges. Bristol and NISM are extensively working with all the financial institutions all around, and we do recognize that as a very visible challenge, that the individuals, no matter whatever academic pedigree that they may have come out with, in spite of it, they do face those challenges. And that is not a challenge that probably any institution would like to extend to their employees. Those employees are taking up really important job works from day one of their job. They cannot fail. As I told, it's not affordable. So since it's not affordable, so the pressure just mounts up on those officers. Why to create pressure when you have certain resources to fall back on? And that's the main focus of this program. So thanks. What is the value of this course and how will it help in my career? Okay, anonymous. Yeah, again, thanks for asking this question. What's value of this course? I think we have been able to give you a glimpse of how what is the strength of credit underwriting. As I told you, that credit is the mainstay of an economy. It is, as I explained, and that's the only way I have experienced it. I see it, I feel it every day, that credit is the heart of the economy. Credit pumps money to the economy. That is what, just like heart pumps blood to our bodies and keeps us agile. So that's how credit is extremely important, and that's how it would be important for you to be conversant with this as well. Is there any experience needed to be a credit underwriter? Yeah, roughly, in case you happen to land up in a banking job, that banking job initially would give you a hint, an outline of the roles and responsibilities that you would try to, what you are expected to address. That happens. But once you are within the team, you are more responsible to take care of the everyday duties. So that's it. Arthif has asked, how do you assess risks? How do you evaluate an application to determine risk? Okay. Arthif, nice question, but then I think that would be a technical session that you'd probably have to take up. There are various kinds of risk you as a banker would be confronted with. So there's credit risk, liquidity risk, enterprise risk, so many kinds of risks, market risks. And then you have a very scientific approach towards all these subjects. That's what finance is all about. Finance and financial risk management is all about. So that's an extent. This will not have a very brief answer to it. But for even to get into the territory of risk, you have to understand what you are dealing with. Credit risk comes secondary. First, you have to understand credit. First, you have to understand credit analysis, underwriting. So it's a transition of stages, and that's when you understand. For instance, if I say about risks that you will face while driving a car, you need to understand what the car, how is it driven, and then probably the uncomfortable situations which you would probably face out there in the road. So in order to understand risk, you have to understand credit first, then credit underwriting. Thereafter, you have to transition risk. So that's a necessary trajectory that you would follow. So I think I've been able to answer you in the most succinct way. Rohila. So can you tell me what's the role of underwriter in stock market and investment banking sector? Yeah, as I told you, I gave you a brief idea of what underwriting is about, how the origin of the word underwriting, because in all these financial appraisals, financial assessments, what it has done is that it's like since the past 500 or 700 years, it's been done like that. And I think ever since eternity, it must have been followed this way, that the underwriter, the analyst who appraises a certain project, puts it down in the form of papers and affixes the signature at the bottom end of it, at the underneath the document. And that is the genesis of the word underneath, so underwriters. So that is how it is in parlance. Now, regarding stock market and investment banking sector, you really don't have those watertight compartments wherein the role of underwriter would change. As I said, that it has certain business connotations. Underwriting essentially would imply guaranteeing. Now, the guarantee can be in various ways. It can be either a guarantee that, yes, your IPO will be completely subscribed in the stock market sense. Similarly, for the underwriter in the credit sense, it would be a guarantee that, yes, your debt issuance will also be completely subscribed. And for that, the underwriter might charge certain additional emoluments for that. So essentially, what is underwriting? It is guaranteeing. Either in the role of a credit underwriter, you would guarantee your financial institution that, yes, I have gone through, I have analyzed this entire proposal, and I believe that this is a credit worthy of support proposal. So I underwrite it, I sign it. Or you can also convey this to your customers. You can also convey it to the bondholders. You can do it in multiple ways. But then you'll again have to veer off to the technical aspects of the subject, which this platform is probably not the most apt platform for this conversation, but we'd like to have all these conversations. That's what One Academy is all about. That's what CRISIL is all about. Happy, like whenever, if you want to walk up to our place, or if you want to write us any query regarding your queries, we'll be more than happy to answer your. Okay, so that happens to be, I think, the last. When can I enroll directly? So, yeah, Abhishek, yeah, definitely. You can enroll for the course directly through the NISM website. That's what happens. Yeah.
Requesting all the participants to question if they have any doubts. The record is open for their concern and queries. Mr. Jog Ashish will be happy to address all the concerns which will be raised by the audience.
Yeah, Amir, I think we don't have any more questions right now.
Yeah. So I'll just help you to enlighten regarding this course, which will be helping in case they are in there, they have certain kind of experience in the domain, and in case they wish to apply for certain kind of jobs. So what precautionary measures or what they can have to look before enrollment or before to go ahead with that?
Yeah, I think Amir, this a couple of questions are being displayed on my screen, so I'll just address that and then come to your point.
So
Monir has asked, how can CFA help me in understanding underwriting process? Okay. I've recently attempted the CFA level 1 examination and I couldn't see any relevant subjects. Yeah. So yeah, I completely see your point. And I think I mentioned this a while back, that all these big ticket courses are very important. They have a certain fundamental role to play to introduce candidates to the entire body of knowledge. So yeah, CFA is huge in its own purview. Similarly, chartered accountancy, ICAI runs chartered accountancy, cost accountancy, all these specialized financial programs do dwell on these subjects. But the issue with them is that they don't have a focused or razor edge approach towards underwriting. However, when you come down to the industry, you find that it is a specific skill which really matters a lot. And these huge academic courses somewhere miss that focus. It is somewhat like maybe you have an engineering degree, but you do not know that specific path and code which would enable you to deliver on the job. Similarly, you have a doctor's degree, you have an MBBS you've completed, but once you move out into the real world, you would find that there is someone who needs a pulmonary treatment, who needs a cardiac treatment. So you need that specialized skills on top of the generalized education that you have had. So CFA is generalized. It doesn't have those relevant subjects like underwriting. Maybe a couple of places out there in the CFA syllabus you'd come across these terms, these concepts. You would wriggle around it because CFA has that kind of domain. Same with CA. And once you take up this underwriting course, you would also find intersection point between CFA course and this course. It would merge. But greatly, you would lack that depth and focus towards on-desk responsibilities. And as I explained in the initial part of my presentation, that on-desk responsibilities are very important. Those are challenges and they have to be delivered. You will be out there on the shop floor, on the bank's desk, out there in the factory, on the site visit, and have to deliver on the blink of eye. And those are challenges that people do find it uncomfortable while they deliver on those, but you stumble and learn. Stumbling and learning doesn't, it's not an alternative. It's not a very sustainable alternative, so as to say. There are career problems that you would witness, and not something that is welcome when you have structured programs, focused programs available. So why not pursue it? This is the entire problem statement that we're trying to solve. So yeah, CFA level 1 exam has quite a syllabus, but not exactly underwriting specifically. I hope I've been able to answer you. You can just further your questions with any more queries that you may have. Okay, Sneha has asked, is it a one-time payment or can we pay in installments? It is a one-time payment, Sneha. That's us about it. It's probably not huge enough to be like broken up in installments the way some of the other educational partners have tied up with some installment payment companies, but we did not really see sense in that kind of an integration. Can you please tell role of underwriter in trade finance operations profile? Oh yeah, absolutely. Fine. I understand, Vikas, I understand that you probably are in trade finance operations. So how would a role of underwriters be more attained to trade finance operations profile? So yeah, I have a practical experience with it. My friends had been in trade finance operations and I was in trade underwriting. And I used to shout on them all throughout the day. Just because they could not understand my urgency, the dangers that I would play in, they would try to keep themselves safe because trade finance in itself is quite a risky area, and you have your own compliances to meet. And I had some of the best friends out there, and all throughout the day would keep banging our heads on each other just because the trade finance did not understand credit underwriting. So can I tell you the role of underwriter in trade finance operations? Trade finance operations, you probably deal with letter of credits, you have bank guarantees, you have capex LCs, and you have all those, buyer's credit, supplier's credit, and all those instruments which keep adding in sophistication. And because of the sophistication and the intricacies involved, you probably lose sight of the basic concept on which the bank is taking a risk. In case you are associated with bank, I'm assuming that you are with a banking institution, which extends trade finance facilities, trade treasury facilities. So most of the time what happens is that once the layer of the trades keeps increasing, say you have a basic LC or you have a merchanting trade, you have some clauses associated with your letter of credit, you have a red letter of credit, some other intricacy, back-to-back LCs. Now, once it moves to that level, you would play it as an operations guy. You would try to play it as safe as possible. Just go by the rule book, get your approvals, and which is great, which is the way to go about it. But then if you don't understand underwriting conceptually, then you would probably lose sight of what is the bank, what is the guideline trying to address. And if you don't have that, your ability to move further would be severely challenged. So it's about understanding a landscape. You can be at rest in your bedroom, in your drawing room, wherever. But if you understand the terrain well, you would be able to really thrive in the locality that you live in. You'd be able to understand, fine, I can move out, I can take this road, I can reach there. I can move out, I can take an alternative road and also reach there. And I have certain options available. It's not that I'm completely close to this very role or this very specific job responsibility. So it always helps. I told you, within the BFSI sector, underwriting is oxygen. You have to someday understand credit and credit underwriting in order to excel. That just goes indispensable. That's why I included that as a slide, that underwriter's role, credit understanding is indispensable. You have to understand that. That goes on site. So thank you. I mean, I just became a little nostalgic with my trade finance buddies. So thank you, Vikas, for this question. Monir, welcome. How does this certification add value in my CV? Aditya has asked. And which career opportunity do I have after this? Monir, Aditya, I think we have already deliberated on this, but then yeah, it is one of the enviable market products. The entire BFSI sector knows CRISIL for various. It's one of the vanguards out there in the research industry and India's credit landscape. And that's how everyone recognizes CRISIL and CRISIL One Academy's post offerings. So wherever you do apply in the BFSI sector, you definitely stand apart. So that's the value offering of it. What goes unsaid is the value of learning credit. So that's what. Aditya, thank you. And this, yeah, okay. Career prospects and trade numbers. For wholesale lending like real estate. Sneha has again asked. Yeah, absolutely, Sneha. Underwriting course is absolutely important for wholesale lending, because wholesale lending is typically the most complex kind of transactions and it's specifically since you've asked about real estate lending. So I'll just repeat the question for the benefit of all. Is this underwriting course useful for wholesale lending like real estate lending? So for the sake of the audience, I'll just explain what is wholesale lending and what is retail lending. Retail lending is when the bank extends small ticket size loans to the entire population for the entire retail markets. Wholesale are the big ticket loans which are extended to the business houses. So something higher than maybe 50 crores or 100 crores. This is usually the trans size of wholesale lendings as of the present market nature. And when it comes down to real estate proposals, specifically in metro cities or even the non-metro centers, so it's absolutely important that you have to know how do the project cash flows work out. The building is being excavated, the land is being dug out, the plinth is being laid. What is the financial outgo of the promoter? And vis-a-vis, what is his contribution and what would be the bank's contribution? How soon would the project be completed? When would the repayments start? How would the cash flows work out? When do the bookings start? And these, as you can probably, like, since you have asked a very focused question, I believe that you probably are into this arena. So you know that all these are high risk areas. Maybe the residential apartments are not booked. Maybe the promoter does not start or is unable to complete the project at some other stage. He just drops it. He gets legal hindrances. If the project is impeded by maybe manpower issues, any of these issues. So those issues have to be envisaged firstly while drawing out the project schedule, and thereafter you have to mitigate all those risks while underwriting that proposal. So that is the crux of underwriting. You have to understand the game better than even the real estate promoter behind it, because the real estate promoter would have a certain optimistic bent of mind. With the best intentions that he may have, he will turn opaque. His eyes would not go towards the risks that keep their risks that are open, the risks that he's vulnerable to. You, as an underwriter, have to educate him. Sir, this may happen. Ma'am, this may turn out. What is your mitigant around it? And that's when his eyes open. Maybe he'll argue you back. He'll answer you, oh, this won't happen, that won't happen. But you, being the underwriter, are responsible to mitigate that, to find a solution to it, to ask the difficult questions and address them out there in your note, take a decision, and then lend the money. So that is the crux of great underwriting, I think. Thank you for this question, Sneha. I think I've been able to give you a brief answer to this.
Thank you, sir. I hope you have already answered all the questions and concerns raised by our participants. So, requesting all, in case you have any questions, you can raise the questions to our speaker in the chat box or else in the Q&A board.
Dharmika said, thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. And I was unable to wish good afternoon to the initial candidates. So yeah, again, good evening. And thank you for your wishes. Yeah, I see quite a few good wishes here. So thank you again for your wishes. Of course, I'll be looking forward to many more queries. Whenever you feel like just reach out to us, reach out to NISM. We're always available for anything.
So it was a great pleasure to have session with you, sir.
Yeah, same here, Amir.
Yeah.
I'd like to thank Himanshi and
Yeah.
here as well. So without you guys, this would never have been possible.
So before we close, I'll just make an official closing remark for today's webinar. So thank you all of the participants for joining today's webinar and being the part of this insightful session. We hope you have found the information valuable and may look the career opportunities in credit underwriting industries. As mentioned by Jogashis sir, the credit underwriters may have career opportunities in varieties of BFSI industries, including banks, insurance companies, and rating agency as well. So is anybody interested for such kind of career domain or vertical? They can look after this is the best suitable option for the credit underwriting as career options. So before we close, I would like to extend a heartfelt thank to our today's speaker, Mr. Jogashis Chaudhary, who has delivered the sessions very neatly and thoroughly. Will be understanding all the concepts and what are the requirement and prerequisites so that we can be ready for such kind of career aspect. Along with, I would like to thank Himanshi. She has greatly showcased us all the aspects of this course and all the things. So nevertheless, I would like to once again thank all the participants and their valuable time. So we'll be keep doing such kind of webinars so that we will be happy to share all the insights about the courses which we'll be doing jointly with CRISIL as well. So once again, thank you so much and a great day ahead. So thank you, Jogashis sir, on behalf of NISM and all the participants. I would like to thank once again to you. So we'll meet very soon for the next webinar shortly.
Yeah, sure thing. Amit, thank you, entire NISM team. Thank you, Himanshi. Thank you, Rishabh. And all the participants, a big thank you for having attended this on a Thursday evening, for your time, for your attention, and for your questions. So thanks a lot.